So, young man, most young men your age, if you're in your 20s, are simping for women. And I want to tell you why that is, and I want to tell you how in this video you can break that cycle and why you should break it as soon as possible. That's what we're going to talk about today on the video. So, man, I will tell you that in my 56 years of living, I have been around all types of women. I've been, I've dated, been intimate with every type of woman that you can think of. I've had the boss chicks, I've had the strippers, I've had the single mother. I mean, every type of woman that you can imagine being around, I have been around them. And one thing that I see and I know to be an absolute truth is the thing that they have in common, the one thing that they all have in common, man, is they know the value of that box between their legs. They know the value of that. Gene Hackman would say on Crimson Tide, they're dumb as fence posts, but they do know all the boys want to fuck them, right? So they have this understanding and concept of value. And what causes many of you young men, and what caused me to do it back when I was in my 20s, is the fact that I did not have that level of value. I didn't have that level of value, man. And most young men don't. It's not that women hate you, not that the world hates you. You just haven't been here long enough to become good at something enough to build your value, because they don't value dick the same way that you value box, right? So what ends up happening, man, is that because you don't have that value, and let me define for you real quick. Let's define what simping is, because there's all kinds of videos, there's all kinds of stuff online of men talking about simping. So let's get a good definition of what that is before we go any further. For me, young men, simping comes down to two things. That either because you're so crazy over pussy or you want it so bad, you will do anything, you will compromise yourself, you will spend money, you will do anything to be intimate with this chick or knock down this chick. Or crazy over pussy is what I call it. That's simping. Another definition of simping is to allow yourself, for the same reason, for bucks, you would allow yourself to be disrespected, controlled, manipulated. So that's how I define, young men, simping to begin with. And when I look back on it, young men, it's not like I couldn't get women. I had all kinds of women. My simping came in when I would get them. And I would allow all kinds of disrespect and this, that, and the other, because I didn't think that I could do any better than the one that I had, or I was just too lazy. I didn't want to, again, go out here and compete, because on a level, I knew I didn't have the right value. I had a decent physique, and that's really all I had going for me back in my 20s. And yeah, that got a lot of attention from women in that. But as you get older, man, what you will find is that superficial shit like that, all it takes is a guy with a better body, or all it takes is a guy with more of what you don't have, of what they really want, and she's gone, right? So little superficial stuff like that, a nice car, nice body, good job, that helps. But young men, for the most part, you don't have the real value that competes with the box that they have. And my biggest mistake in life is that instead of trying to build that value, right, so I didn't have to simp, instead of building that value, young man, I chased after them, just hoping that me being a nice guy, not really understanding female nature, which is that they're always looking to trade up. Look up hypergamy when you get done with this video, that they're always looking for the next best thing. And they can do that because of the value that they have between their legs. You don't have that value as a young man. You don't have that value, but that's not where the story ends, because you can build that value, young man. And that's what you need to be doing now. That is the fatal mistake I made in my 20s. Instead of building value, instead of taking 10 to 15 years to build real value, monetarily, number one, and confidence and all of that stuff comes from building value. And if I would have had that value, young man, the value that I have now, I had a girlfriend. And we're really cool now. We didn't make it in a relationship, but we laugh and joke over the fact that if I would have told her years ago, if I would have told her at any given point in time, you know what, shut the fuck up. Or, you know what, I am doing this, and if you don't like it, get the fuck on, right? At any point in time in that relationship, Again, we laugh and joke about that. Had I said something like that, it's a good chance we would be together today. And the only way that I could have said that, men, is that if I had the right amount of value. See, when you don't have the right amount of value and you get that one, that's how you end up simping. It wouldn't do all of that shit, young man, if you had the value to say, shut the fuck up. Or if you had the value to say, you know what, I'm out. If you had the value to say, you know what, this is the way it's going to go. And if you don't like it, you can go, right? Young man, that's not nuts. That's not, the young boys, you got to have the balls to talk to your, no, you got to have the value. You got to have the value to talk that way. And by and large, most young men don't have that. And you don't have that, young men, because you're not building it now. You're not building it right now in your 20s. You're too busy chasing them with no value, expecting them to treat you like a man that has value. And it won't happen. Won't happen, guys. Will not happen. So this is how you stop. This is how you break that cycle for being a simp. And here's the thing. There are married simps. There are simps that's in long-term relationships. Again, if we go back to the definition, the simp is anybody that would allow disrespect and bad treatment or bad behavior simply because they don't want to lose the sex or the woman that they have. So you have plenty of men out here that's married. That happened to me on more than one occasion. You get married, you get comfortable. Like when I met the woman, I had the value. I knew my body was right, my money was right. So I was talking all kinds of big shit. I don't need a chick. I don't need, this is just what it is. Take it or leave it. But then you get married and, and you guys aren't here yet, but I'm just giving you a idea of how this happens even when you're married. You get married, you stop going to the gym, you stop taking care of yourself because you got your chick. Right? And then the bad behavior and stuff starts because they know now that same value that they met you with, you no longer have. Right? So this can happen, man, even when you're married. But here's the point. If you want to break this cycle in your life, you have to start right now, increasing your value. You have to increase your value, young man. And I'm not talking about, a job is good if you don't have that. I'm talking about increasing your value, like knowing what I know now about this whole simping thing. Because back in my day, if you just had a decent job, you was better than half the dudes you were competing with. But nowadays, young man, knowing what I know now, I would want to go even higher than that. I would want to find me a skill. I would want to find me a thing that I could devote as much time and energy to as possible and become really, really good at it. Become so good at it that I am making big time money, right? Because I want to be clear with you guys. The value that you have to contend with or compete with that box is going to be money, right? So listen, most guys now have a job. You want to do better than just having a job. You want to be exceptional. If you want to get out of that simping thing, right? And the only way you get out of it, man, is to create options for yourself. The only way you create options for yourself is to become good at something. Really, really, really good at something, right? And make a lot of money at it, right? And now the one woman that you're simping for, you don't have to do that because there's 4 or 5 more that'll be willing to take her place in a heartbeat. It changes the whole game, man. But many of you won't do that. You would do exactly what I did for the better part of my young adult life. And that is, instead of building that type of value to be that type of man that women run after, instead of me chasing after them, no, you just run after them your whole life. Then you'll wonder why the guy over here who she really wants, who she really, really wants, she's running after him. You're trying to do all of the nicey nice and you don't have the value. You don't have the value. Young men, it comes down to a simple value proposition over what they have versus what you have, right? And the way to break this cycle, man, is to stop chasing them now and build yourself, right? I know that sounds, and I talk about it often, and I wish I had somebody in my ear constantly when I was 20 talking about quit running after them. Do something to build yourself, man. Get yourself together so they'll run after you and not the other way around. I didn't have that, right? And as a result, I kept doing the same thing, wasted a good amount of my life doing that. So you can break free of that thing in your life simply by building your value so that you can compete with their value now. This doesn't go to say that you can never have a girlfriend or you can never have, but they can't be the priority. Your purpose and this thing that you're building has to be your everything has to take back seat to that. And you do that, man, for, the next 8 to 10 years or so. You won't have to simp. And if you do, it'll just be your choice. But you won't have to. Many of you have to simp now. You have to. But you get your value up and you do that now. And you focus on that instead of focusing on chasing them. And you won't have to do that. So listen, here's the deal. Building value, young men, it takes time and it takes the right information. I have all of that in this 9-step transformational guide that I created for you young men. It's in the video description below. In this guide, I deal with your mindset, getting your body together, getting your pockets right. Young man, it's the thing I wish I had. I need it desperately back when I was in my 20s. So I would definitely encourage you guys to take a look at that. It's in the video description below. So young men, knowledge. You just have to know these types of things. I didn't know them when I was younger. Caused me to waste a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort. So check out these other videos that I have dealing with this subject and many more subjects that you really need to be aware of in your 20s so you can avoid a lot of the bullshit and crazy that I did when I was your age. All right? So listen, I got to hit the road, guys. That's all I got. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. We'll be back with another one soon.